One of the things that's interesting to me about dog training and the way people train is that they tend to pick something they think a dog should be able to do and then make the decision to do a lot of that thing so they finally get good at it. Take the example of retired guns. People say, well, my dog's weak at that, so I'm going to do a lot of retired guns and eventually he'll get better at it. Well, that's probably true. Eventually he will get better, but when? You want to teach things so it happens now. The other interesting thing is, let's take the topic of long birds. People get little puppies out and they want to see they want to stretch them out. They want to see how far they can run. So they put a gunner out somewhere and they run the little puppy, and what they're inadvertently doing is teaching the puppy to run at a gun, not at a bird. So eventually a dog gets that habit. They see a gun, they run at the gun instead of at the bird. So while you want to teach a young dog or any dog to be able to do real long marks, the way to do that in reality is a lot of short marks. Short marks teach marking. Long marks are just distance, and if they have the skill of being able to mark short, that skill will take them all the way out to the longest of long marks. So I'm just going to demonstrate that a little bit with a short mark, and then the concept would be that you start to develop the long marks a little at a time. You don't go from a short mark to, oh, he does that. So now you got a real long mark, and the dog then goes directly at the gunner and develops that habit, which you do not want. You want to be able to focus on the gun, but go to the bird, not to the gun, and then get out there and start hunting. We want a dog to mark the bird, not just to run to the gunner. So I'm going to do a short mark here, and then I'm going to assume that you can understand the description, which is you go longer and longer and longer until finally they are out there 250 or 350 yards. And dogs have the capability of learning this, but it's got to be a progression. I have countless stories about people with 12 or 14 or 16-week-old puppies that are doing 200-yard marks. And really, they're not doing 200-yard marks. They're running out to a gun that they see out somewhere with a white coat. They're getting out there and they're hunting. And they really shouldn't get too much credit for doing a 200-yard mark. They haven't really marked anything except they've run out to where the gun is. And that's no big achievement. Marking a bird at that distance is a totally different situation. So I'm going to do a short mark, and it's going to be a mark that teaches a dog to run to a bird, not to run to a gunner and hunt. So, okay, Mike, we're just about set. Here. Sit. 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 Back. Good. Sit. So in a training sense, if I wanted to now teach this dog to go real long, I would move those gunners farther out and farther out and farther out until they got way out. So let's do the intermediate versions in our heads, and I'll take the gun out at a long distance, and you'll see that the dog will mark a bird and not just run at the gun. So I'm going to stop the action. I'm going to take those gunners out and have them throw a mark at a long distance, and you'll see how that progression could end up. Shadow, sit. So the point I want to make now is that now we have a real long mark. So what happens is that once a dog is able to do a long mark like this, a couple 100 or 300 yards, people tend to do all kinds of it over and over. And what they then do is develop a dog that'll run towards the gunner. When the truth is, going back and doing the short marks like we started with, develops the habit of watching a fall and going to that spot. And that's the habit you want, not running out at the gun and hunting, which is what most dogs end up doing in life. So my objective today is to say the way that you get good at long marks is by practicing short marks. The skill is in the short mark. That skill will carry you into long marks. So A, do a lot of short marks where a dog can see the fall and the arc and go there. Then do progressively longer marks until you get out to a long mark like this. Then don't do a million of them. Do a long mark like that some of the time, but do a lot of short marks that they can follow the arc and spot, go to the fall, and become precise markers. So I'm going to run this mark, and I hope you will see that this dog will run at the fall and not at the gunner. Okay, come up. Sit. Okay, Mike, let her fly. Back. So I hope you could see that that was an example of a dog that was running towards the fall and not towards the gun. That's the thing. And the way to practice that is by doing short marks and then intermediate marks and then short marks. And once in a while, here, heel, sit. A really long mark. So that's the lesson. Now, if you can stay with me just a little longer, I have another message for you that's really important. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, bears much fruit, for without me you can do nothing.